Hello everyone, welcome to our DOM class. DOM stands for Document Object Model, and this is a structural description of a web document. We have several types of DOM. So example, we have the HTML DOM, we have the CSS DOM, and we have several others. We have the XML DOM too. But for this class we'll basically be talking about HTML and CSS DOM. So DOM simply describes how a web page is structured or organized on our browser. As you should know by now, the HTML page is built with tags, and these tags sometimes they contain attributes, sometimes they contain text. All these are represented as objects on the DOM. The DOM helps us to get hold of the HTML objects and manipulate them. So we have what we call the DOM tree. This is an example of the DOM tree, which starts from the document itself. As you can see the document here. After the document we have the HTML tag, which is the root element or the root object. So let's compare these to our page. I'll have to zoom in, zoom out, so we have a good grasp. Okay, I'll be deleting a whole lot here. Okay, let me just cut it out. So now we only have the doc type tag here. I'm going to cut out every other thing, leaving the HTML tag. Ctrl X. Ouch. Okay, I think I have to delete. So we have the HTML tags, which is next after the document tag. This is the root object. Then we have, after the HTML tag, we have the header tag and the body tag inside the HTML tag. Let's go back to that. So we have inside the HTML tag we have the head tag and the body tag. So I'll just cut off the contents of the head tag. So here's the body tag. I remove the content of the body tag. Here's the head tag and the body tag. I removed everything that was inside the body tag, and let's look at it in the DOM tree. You can see from the document, which contains the root element, which is the HTML element, and the HTML element contains the head element and the body element. The head element is usually not seen from our browser, as it's only the title tag which is within the header element that will be seen from our browser side. Every other thing, the meta tags, are usually hidden, but what is usually rendered on our screen is the contents of the body element. Here's the body element. Now let's go back to. So now I'm going to return the contents of the body elements. Ctrl V. Here I have several contents. I have the header, I have paragraph tag, I have button tag. So we have several contents. It's not exactly the same as this particular DOM tree, but this DOM tree just gives us a description of what it is, what is expected. So inside the body tag we have headers, header element, which contains header text, heading text. We have anchor tag, we have which contains the href attributes, and so let's get back to our work. So this is in summary how the DOM helps us represent the contents of our page, a web page, and it arranged them into the structure that we just saw. That's the DOM tree. So how do we navigate through the DOM? Before we talk about navigation through the DOM or through our HTML page with the DOM, let's talk about the windows. The windows is the output in which the document is being rendered. Now the document is now an object of the windows. So let's do windows dot document. You see the whole page is highlighted as we do windows dot documents. The whole page is highlighted. So now there are several functions we can use with the windows. For like windows dot document, we could also do windows dot alert. So window dot alert. So we also have we could also do window dot open. Let's do window open. Which opens a new tab. So this opens a new tab on our window. We could also do window dot location. Window dot location. This gives us our current URL. Okay, I'll clear the console. So let's see how we can navigate through our documents. Okay, the first method I want to talk about is just walking through the document, starting from the document. Document body dot let's do child node. So if you remember our DOM tree, we walked through on the console, walked through documents. We didn't need to mention or to write in the HTML, and went straight to the body, document.body, and child nodes. The child node just gives us all the values or all the objects that are under the body tag. So let's go back and see. So inside the body we have text, then we have header. The text represents the empty space between welcome and the body. Let's look at between the header and the body. There's an empty space here, and it sees that as a text. So let's go back and see. We now, after the header, we have another empty space which is represented as a text. Then we have a paragraph, then we have another empty space, then we have the toggle button, then an empty space, another paragraph, and an empty space, another paragraph, and let's and more not visible. Okay, let's see. So these are the child nodes of the body. So now let's the index 1 which is the header, because the index 0 will give us the empty space, which is represented as a text. Okay, let's see. Instead of the child node, let's use the first child. Okay, let's use the first element child. This skips every empty space and goes straight to the elements that are in the document. So the first element child, instead of, if I had used the first child, it would have counted the empty space, that's why we can see text here. But I use the first element child, which goes and gives us the first element. Okay, now if we want to go to the next, we can use dot next sibling. If we use next element sibling, we go straight to the next element, which is a paragraph, as you can see here. We can also go to the next element sibling, which should give us a toggle button. So we can keep navigating step by step in this method, with this method. But if we have a very big or rich HTML document and we want to navigate through the elements or the attributes or the contents of the document, going by this method will take so much, and will to target elements in our document. Instead, there's a better way to go about it. That's using the getElementById, getElementByClass, getElementBytagName, class name, getElementBytagName, and the query selectors. So that's what we'll be using from now on. So let's first use the getElementBytagName, or by ID, sorry. We are going to be using these different methods to target elements on our HTML page and try to manipulate them inside JavaScript. Please take note that previous lessons we had been working with JavaScript on a different JS file, on a separate JS file, but in this particular class we will be working, especially in the DOM class, when we are talking about DOM, we'll be working with JavaScript which is on the same page with the HTML. Reason being that if you load JS from a different page, a separate page, as we had been doing before, working with the DOM, it would not, the HTML page wouldn't have completely loaded before the JS page loads, and which will give us an error. So in order to avoid that error, we either use a function with a function that allows the HTML page to completely load before loading the JS page, or we write at the bottom of our HTML page, we write our JavaScript code at the bottom of our HTML page, as we are doing here. Our JavaScript code will be written here as the last code on our HTML page. This will allow the HTML content to be completely loaded before reading the JavaScript codes. Now let's see how we can use the getElementById to target the header welcome, and the header has an ID head. So let's go. Okay, so let's call this head equals document dot get So let's get the header with the ID of head. As you can see, the ID head, with the ID head we can target the header. You see how we target the header with the getElementById. Now we are saving, we've targeted this header and we are saving it into the variable head. We have head. We are going to use a method known as inner HTML equals goodbye. Okay, so we save. Now the inner HTML gives us access to the content of the particular element that we are targeting. Now the content of the header tag is the welcome text. So now we are setting the inner HTML of the header tag as goodbye. So we are directly changing it to goodbye. So let's save and see what it gives us. Okay, as you can see, goodbye. We changed it from welcome to goodbye. So let's go back and comment this place out. So it's going to go back to welcome. It's welcome. Okay, you can see how we targeted the header tag with the ID head, and we are able to change the inner HTML, that's the content within the header tag, with the getElementById method. So Ctrl S. Let's also change the style. Let's change the style. Remember, we've targeted the header tag and saved it into head. So we'll go head dot style dot color, the attribute we want to use, and we'll set it as red. Let's save, Ctrl S, and let's see what it gives us. So we have successfully changed added an attribute. We changed the inner HTML and we added a red color as an attribute to the header tag with the help of the getElementById method. Okay, let us try getElementByTag. Let's add another paragraph tag here. I just want a tag without hello. I'll call this hope you are happy. Okay, so now we are going to use the getElementBytagName to try to target the paragraph tags on this page. And the getElementBytagName behaves like an array. It's not an array, but it acts like an array, as it could target tags, all the tags on the page, and arrange them in an object that looks like an array. So let's go and see how we can do this. So let's save my for paragraph equals, we are going to save everything we get into my documents dot get elements by tag name, and we will put p tag here. So we've been able to get target all the paragraph and place them inside the variable called myPara using the getElementBytagName. Now because as I said before, it behaves like an array, we are going to loop through it. Let's use the for loop for let I equals 0, I less than the length of my para. That's my para dot length and the increment step. So we are going to write the functions which we want to, whatsoever we want to happen to the arrays that had been saved in myPara. So let's see. So we used the getElementByClass by tag name to target the paragraph tag, and we saved it into a variable named myPara. getElementBytagName, we targeted the paragraph tag, the p tag, and saved it into myPara. Now we use the loop. Let's the for loop to iterate through the paragraphs which had been targeted and saved in myPara. We console.log with console.log it. We log on our console, so let's see what it gives to us. Having an error here. We made a correction and we didn't save. So let's go back and see if the error is still there. The error is no longer here. That's clear. Okay. Now it gives us, you can see all the paragraphs on our page. It displays them on the console as we have instructed. So we are able to target our paragraphs and display them on our console. Let's see if we can further manipulate our paragraph. Let's do par.style.color. Let's set a color attribute. Let's give it let's make it blue. Okay, let's see, Ctrl S. Let's see what it gives us. Okay, all the contents of our paragraph have been turned blue, as you can see. Okay, so now we have been able to use the getElementById. We've also been able to use the getElementBytagName. Now let us use getElementByClassName. Now we have these two paragraphs with the class highlights. We could specifically target them with their class. Okay, let's my class equals document dot get element by class name. Okay, let's call it, let's give our elements, all the elements, what's the class name is highlight. So let's take this, let's copy it. So we just put it in our class name, Ctrl V, ouch, Control V, and so we can the class name, the getElementByClass also behaves like an array, so it goes into the HTML document and gets every class that's named highlight and saves them like as an array into the variable myClass. So for us to get access to it, we also need to iterate through the array that has been saved into the myClass variable. So let's do almost the same thing we did here previously. For let I equals 0, let I equals 0, I less than its length, that's I less than the length of my class. Then use the increment step I plus plus. So we can now plus we're already getting an error here, and that's because class, that should be because class is a keyword. So let's make it, let's remove one of the s, and console.log s. Okay, let's see what it's going to give to us. So as you can see, it logged the class, the paragraph with the class highlight on the console, just as we instructed it to do. We are able to use the getElementByClassName to target the class on the HTML document, and we use the loop method. With the loop method, we were able to iterate through all the classes that were saved into the variable myClass. We use the getElementByClassName to target the class name highlights, and we saved in our variable myClass. Now we use the for loop method to iterate through this variable into the myClass variable, and we are able to get the content of myClass variable, and we logged them into the console. So let's add the inner HTML method to get only the contents of the highlights, the class highlights. Let's save. So we're able to iterate through, and we added the .inner HTML method. Let's see, it's going to give us just the content of my class. So let's go back. Now we've used the getElementById, we've used getElementBytagName, and we've used getElementByClassName. Next, we are going to use a very powerful method, which is, I think, is the most popularly used method, which is the getElement, the querySelector method. Okay, let's create our first. Let's use our first querySelector method to target the header, the welcome heading with the ID head. So let's go. Let's head equals, I made the double D this time around, document dot query selector head. Okay, dot inner HTML, Ctrl S. So I could easily console.log head and get my value, Ctrl S. Let me see if there's anything under. Okay, so I use the query selector to target the header with the ID head. You can see the header with the ID head here. I'm targeting it, and let me log it on the console first, and let's see. I think I got an error. So let's log. Oh, I'm missing the hashtag here. Ctrl S. Let's log console.log. So let's check our console. Ctrl S. Oh, we want the inner HTML. Let's add. Okay, let me add that inner HTML here. Goodbye. It's logged on the console here. Okay, we used the query selector to target just one ID, one head tag. We could use querySelectorAll to target more than one element, and it's going to return all its values, all the elements that have been targeted, as an array. And you will have to use the loop method, maybe the for loop method, to iterate through it to get your value. So let's get started. Let's use me array. Okay, sorry, this is actually the right way to put it. Oh, okay. Let me array document dot okay, it could take in the query selector, or could take in class ID or tag name. So let's do tag name. Let's target the p tag. Ctrl S. Okay, Ctrl S. Let's just copy the loop method here. So let I equal 0, me array dot length. Okay, let's par So what we did was to use the loop method, let I equal 0 for I less than the array dot length. That's the length of the array, the object created, or the variable, sorry, which a list will be stored in, the array dot length, and we use our increment step. Now got the values of the array with this method, myArray method, and we logged into our console. We got the value and saved into a variable par, and we logged it the inner HTML of par into our console. Then we change the style of par to pink. Let's save and see the value, what it gives us. Let's make the background color pink, and not this. Let's make the background color pink. Let's see what it gives. Yeah, so we're able to make our background color pink. We're able to make our background color pink and logged into the console. See, it logged into the console twice. Okay, finally we are going to, for this first part of the DOM class, we are going to end it by creating a button. And we have a button here, and we are going to toggle the button to create light and dark mode. So we are going to conclude the class by using this toggle button to create an actual toggle button, which when you click, it will toggle between light and dark mode. Or let's not make it dark mode, let's make it dark blue mode. Let's see how that goes. Okay, so we'll use the onClick method. Document dot body dot class list dot toggle. So this is going to toggle through a class list. So let's go create a style for that. Style. So we are going to, let's tab, we'll create let's create a style. Let's call it tog a class list. We'll give it background color. We'll make it let's make it brown. Ctrl S, Ctrl C. So go give this Ctrl V. So let's save. So let's test. Ooh. So light and dark mode activated. As you can see, normal the mode, the normal mode is white. It's a light mode, light background, and the class here, there is no value for the class for styling the mode, but when you toggle, you get the class tog, and that gives us the background which I use for my dark mode. Okay, so that's the end of this part of the class. We'll keep talking about the document object model in our next class. Thank you.